Welcome to Bible Bee Study Vlogs. This is episode 3, and today we're talking about all things cross-references. And since we all know that's everyone's favorite topic, let's get started. To start with, let's talk about what cross-references actually are. The name is kind of confusing, but basically it's just correlating different verses or passages in the Bible that talk about the same topic or relate to each other. There's a lot of different passages that relate to things talked about in James, and we have to study some of them. And if you've been doing Bible Bee, you know what this is. This is the cross-reference list. It's the official one put out from Bible Bee, because in your discovery journal you see a lot of references that aren't James. All the references that aren't James are cross-references, but you don't have to in-depth study all of those. You only have to do an in-depth study on these, the ones listed on this sheet. I think there's 116 for seniors, so definitely a good amount, but at least you don't have to in-depth study literally every single reference in the discovery journal. The first thing about studying the cross-references that I want to talk about is content, how to actually learn what is being said in the cross-references. For the official cross-references, the way that I've been studying content is I put them all into a Quizlet set in my version, and then every weekday I've been trying to read 1/5 of them so that each week I get them all read. And that's definitely helped a lot because I see the reference, I read the verse or passage, and then I flip it back over on flashcards and see the reference again, and it's correlating and helping me learn them a lot better. For the unofficial cross-references, I'm not doing something like that. I think there's just too many to read through them all every week. Maybe every 2 weeks could work. But what I think I'm going to do for the unofficial cross-references is just a 1 or 2 sentence summary of what goes on in the passage so that I can get familiar with the content. Some people also study summaries of the official ones, and I think that's okay, but I think the actual content and full text of those is better for the official ones because they're more important. And if it's like other years, there will be questions on the test about things that actually happen inside a cross-reference. Like if an Old Testament character is mentioned in a New Testament cross-reference, there might be a question about that on the qualifying test. Next, we need to talk about context, and this is really what makes studying cross-references one of the least favorite things for a lot of Bible Beers to do. Because not only do you need to know the content of the passages on this sheet, you also need to know the context, and it's hard to find and it takes a lot of time. The way that I'm doing my context is I have a Google Doc and I have the reference. So for example, Genesis 15, 1-6 and verse 18. I have that reference, and then I have the full text right there on the Google Doc. And then I look in my Bible at the before context and the after context. I normally do 4 to 5 verses before and after. And with the way that they're made this year, there's a lot of, for example, the one I just said, it's like a few verses here and then another verse later, or 1 and 1. So it's kind of hard to know because you have to do before, and after. So just a rough approximate 4 to 5 verses, I guess. And then I just try to summarize them, make note of if there's a Old Testament quote and a New Testament one, or if there's a character mentioned or an age or a number, something like that. I just try and make some good notes and then write that down. And then I also have my summary of the passage for the official ones, and then the Discovery Journal summary. The difference in my own summary and the Discovery Journal summary is because my own summary is trying to summarize the whole passage, whereas the Discovery Journal summary is probably focused on like more one specific point of it, like maybe that it talks about patience. And so we see Job's patience, whereas mine might be Job's patience after his trial because he had prayed for his friends, something like that. So I have those 2 listed, and that's how I make my cross-reference profiles. They definitely take a bit of time so it's hard to keep up with them, but I think it's worth it in the end because once I finish, I'm gonna print out the whole doc and then I'll be able to read it and access it easily. And now lastly, let's talk about reviewing the cross-references, because you can make all your cross-reference profiles that you want, you can make all the summaries you want and learn some of the full texts, but how do you actually keep it in review until the qualifying test? Like I just mentioned, reading through the profiles that you make or just the full text is a good plan, but there's also a few others. One would be Quizlet. I know that I talk about this a lot and I also use it a lot. For cross-reference summaries, either official or unofficial, if you had a Quizlet set with them, then you could just see the summary, answer with the reference in Learn, or you could do flashcards or even play match. And there are also some other alternatives to Quizlet out there. I don't know what the name of them is for sure, but they can be helpful as well, and I think there might be some free versions. There are also study games. Obviously, a lot of people like to use study games for cross-references, either the full full text or the summaries and even the context. So you can look on some study games for that. If you were to print out the full text or your cross-reference profiles, you could highlight the really important things. Some people make questions on their cross-references, like questions just from the content. Who is mentioned in this passage? How old was the person in this passage? Or they make questions from the context. What happened right before this passage? What happened right after? Either of those work. It's just how much time you're willing to spend and which way you learn the best. You learn the best from writing questions, you learn the best from answering questions, summarizing, reading, etc. And that's it for this video about cross-references. I hope this video was helpful, and if you have any more questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer every single one of them. If there's something that I missed or skipped over, just let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 4.